Hello and welcome to the channel. Now I'm here in Portugal and it's a freaking windy day today. So for once, the most windy thing in this video is not going to be my mouth. I'm here with the new BMW X2. Gonna find out, is it a practical family car? Is it fun to drive? Is it going to fill your friends and family with envy and resentment? Stick around, let's find out together. Now the first X2 was a moderate success for BMW. It was a sexier version of the practical, but dare I say it, boring X1, and in nearly 6 years they sold 390,000 of them. I actually really liked it because it was surprisingly fun to drive. This new one is substantially bigger. It's more than 6 cm taller and a whopping 19 centimeters longer. More importantly, the wheelbase is 2.2 cm longer, so you know what to expect here. More room inside, a bigger boot, and basically a bigger car. And I tell you what, this is definitely a more aggressive looking car too. Let's start with the basics here. Check out how the headlamps kind of wrap around the edge of the car to extend them. And of course, you've got BMW's signature 4-lamp design, but reinterpreted with these angular elements here. That's kind of new, kind of interesting. It's also reflected in the angular shape of this double kidney grille. Now, I mean, check out the size of this thing here. Now, this is the M Sport version, so it's in black and it's got horizontal bars across here. But for the first time ever, you can actually have it illuminated, so all your friends and family can see you coming a mile away. I mean, I really want to talk about the size of this thing though. They've fed it in with the bonnet here, which actually is quite nice. But I tell you what, if my kidneys look like that, I think my doctor would be very, very worried. Let's have a look at some of these accents here. I really like these air vents here actually. I don't know if you can see this, but they actually continue a contour down from the headlights to define the edge of the car. That's a very nice touch. And they do let air into here. So they're actually functional. And check out this goatee, I guess you can call it. I don't really know what to make of it here, but two things jump out. Number one, I actually think all this black area actually helps to downplay the grille a little bit, because if you didn't have this, this would look even bigger. And of course, it's wider at the base than at the top, so that connotes a lot of stability. And I don't know if it reminds you of anything, but it reminds me of a certain Japanese ancient sport. Oh, my back. Now, in some ways, of course, the side of the car is what's most important, because this is a sort of coupe SUV. And when it comes to coupes, it's all about proportions and silhouette. First things first though, I want to mention these 20-inch wheels. They really fill up the wheel arches very nicely. And if you check out the sides of the car, they have all these creases which really catch the light in certain ways. It really is quite nice, and it's basically blowing me away. I want to mention the roof line as well. It kind of tapers towards the back of the car, but at the same time you've got this line here which sweeps upwards towards the back. So all of these lines really lead your eye to the back of the car. So let's check out what they're leading us to. Do you remember how the last X2 had a little roof spoiler over here? Well, that's more of a hatchback thing, and this new spoiler over here is more of a coupe thing, so I really like that. Now this really is a striking car to look at. These taillights are pretty new, and I don't know what's going on with these cutouts here. They look like teeth, but I do quite like them. And you do have a mirror of that 4-eye lamp design that's in the headlights. Now, have a look at the back here. They've kept the number plate away from the tailgate and down here, which is a nice touch. And okay, this big element at the back here, it kind of looks like a diffuser, but I don't really think it actually serves an aerodynamic purpose. But you can't say it does nothing, because what it does is it helps to give the X2 a quite nicely defined and really sculpted backside, which is exactly the kind of backside that every man would like. While we're back here, let's talk about practicality. You get a whopping 560 litres of space in the boot, which is 90 litres more than before. And if you fold down the rear seats, that expands to 1,470 litres, or 115 litres more than before. Of course, numbers are not everything, so let's have a look at the practicalities of this boot itself. Now, 560 litres does include a lot of the space underneath, so if you're the kind that doesn't like to use space under the boot floor, you have to think about that. Still, there are a lot of practical touches. There's a nice little bin over there, a sort of netted area for odds and ends, and it has these lovely little hooks here for grocery bags and such. And it's all these little touches that help to take a car's practicality to another level. So here in the front, the dashboard is more or less straight out of the X1. The main thing that jumps out at you is a pair of screens. There's the 10.25-inch driver display and a 10.7-inch infotainment system. Now both are on a single panel that curves towards the driver. The UX runs BMW OS 9, which is a more widget-based interface, and that's customizable so you can have quick access to all the functions that you use most. I'm actually still getting used to the menus, but I will say that it looks nice. So let's talk about practicality for a moment. You do have two cup holders here, no cover for them though, as well as a pad here for charging your iPhone, and from the look of it, you could put a pretty big phone here. This one actually doubles as the key for this particular car. You've got this space underneath here for, I don't know, a bottle of whiskey, maybe a bottle of brandy, choose your poison, and a little bit of space underneath here as well, which you can open like that. It helps you know what you're doing. Now, does this feel posh? Well, let's use the fingernails of truth to find out. Ooh, that actually sounds quite nice. That's pretty good. Okay, that's passable. And yeah, there is an air of quality to the car. So I'd say it is actually quite nice. Now here in the M Pro version, you get some really nice sporty M touches. I really like the steering wheel design, and you get this bit of red here to let you know which way is up, and that's a racing car thing. And speaking of racing car things, you get these lovely bucket style front seats, which also look lovely. You also get Alcantara inserts too, but I'm not so sure if people in Singapore will like the upholstery, because for us it's leather or nothing. But you do get some nice contrast stitching and a lovely Alcantara surface for the dashboard, which adds a little bit of extra poshness and a little extra sportiness. Now, before I show you the back seats, please remember to hit subscribe. We are a new channel and we could really use your support. Thank you very much. So let's see what we have back here. Okay, so in terms of ambience, I think the quality is quite nice. I'm going to do the fingernail thing again. And yeah, the cabin quality seems to be a step up from the last X2. Over here, I've got aircon vents here, a couple of USB-C charging outlets, and this car is slightly wider than before, so let's see how I would feel in the middle. It's actually not too bad. As an adult, I think I would survive a decently long ride in the back here, even if I had to sit in the middle. Now, this is my driving position, so as I'm sat here in the back, I do have quite a lot of knee room. And let's try the headliner, see if I can just tilt forward. And yeah, I did not have to restyle my hair after that. So I'd say there is quite a lot of room here, and unless you have super whiny kids, you should be able to use this car as a family car. So that's the kids settled. It's time for the grown-ups to play. My reference point for driving this car is the X1 because the two are sister cars. And that car has, to me, quite firm suspension, and this car, it takes firmness to another level because I can feel every little bump on these Portuguese roads, and I'm pretty sure I can run over a coin and tell you whether it's heads or tails. But to be fair, this car does have the M Sport Pro package, which comes with a different suspension setup. It's got lower springs by 15mm, and they're definitely stiffer as well. There is adaptive suspension, but even on the normal driving mode, it is a very, very firm ride. To be very honest, I've never really liked having any of the BMWs with the M Sport Pro suspension, and I think this ride is also the price to pay for having 20-inch wheels, but well, you pay your money, so you make your choice. But honestly, this car is a lot firmer than I would like it to be. I tell you what though, the payoff for that is the car is actually quite sharp, and there's actually quite a lot of steering feel, and it loads up nicely as I go through the corner. And like the old X2, it's actually pretty well planted. Comparing this car with the last one, it does feel like a sort of bigger and wider car. The previous X2 to me felt like a bit of a hot hatch, and this one feels a little bit more like a sporty coupe, which is, I guess, what it really wants to be. Cruising along the coastline here, so I may as well take a moment to tell you about visibility. You can't see very much out of the rearview mirror, and that's because of that sloping tailgate, and it creates a very small window for you to look out of. And just looking over my shoulder, blind spot wise, it's not great. And if you're the kind of driver that really wants to see what's going on around you at all times, I would not recommend this car. Having said that, when it comes to parking or tighter situations, there is a 360-degree monitor, so that's really going to help you out. Woo! I'm really liking this engine too. This car just has plenty of overtaking power, and it's really nice. Okay, the soundtrack is pretty ordinary, I have to say, but at least you get all that pull, and There's a little pedal here that I can pull if I want 10 seconds of an extra kick. I've got boost mode and it even sounds different. Woohoo! So no complaints about the engine from me. But on the other hand, that is because I am currently driving the M35i xDrive, which is the top dog in the new BMW X2 range. So that means it's got a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, 300 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. And this car's pretty quick, 0 to 100 takes just 5.4 seconds. But let's be honest, everyone in Singapore is going to be buying the more ordinary S-Drive 16i, and that has a 1.5-litre 3-cylinder engine with just 122 horsepower. Why? Because it's the cheapest one. That's the one you can get with a Cat A COE. But that version takes more than 10 seconds to go from 0 to 100, which doesn't sound very exciting, does it?
But if you can't have excitement, maybe you can have something different?
Now if you want something different, this is the iX2, which is the pure electric version of the X2. It looks almost the same as the combustion X2, but you can identify the iX2 with its closed-off kidney grille, which is a bit more aerodynamic, which is of course better for the range. Now, I happen to be driving the iX2 xDrive 30, which has twin motors, all-wheel drive, 313 horsepower and 494 Newton meters of torque. Ooh, and you can really feel that torque. Now, what everyone likes about electric cars is that instant response and that instant flood of torque, and this car has it, so that makes it instantly likable. 0 to 100 takes 5.6 seconds, which isn't super fast by electric car standards, but it's quick enough to have fun. But let's have a look at some other numbers. The iX2 has a 64.8 kilowatt hour battery. Now that gives up to 449 km of range, and charging it from 0 takes 6 hours at 11 kilowatts. But if you can find a 130 kilowatt fast charger, you can go from 10 to 80% in just 29 minutes. Bear in mind, I am driving the xDrive 30 version of the iX2, which is actually the most powerful version of any X2 that you can buy today. But sadly, this version is not coming to Singapore. Instead, what I think it could happen is that because there is an iX1 in Singapore with the motor detuned to 147 horsepower to make it eligible for the cheaper category A COE, I think that's what's going to happen with the iX2 as well. We're going to see a Cat A version. So I don't know if I should simulate that car by maybe I put an egg under the accelerator pedal and drive it like that. But I tell you what, even if that car is not going to be as quick or as fast as this one, it should be just as quiet and just as refined. So at the end of the day, whether you're thinking about the pure electric iX2 or the good old petrol X2, I think BMW is onto a winner here. And remember, these cars are based on the X1, a very practical car that's wildly popular in Singapore. Except, if you ask me, it's slightly better to look at and just as practical. And really, who wouldn't want that? So that's our quick and dirty review of the new BMW iX2 and the X2. Which one would you get? Leave us a comment, I really want to know. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends, and there's a lot more to check out on MrChia.com.sg. Thanks for watching, see you again. It's got a lot of front end grip as well. I went through that corner so fast that my camera is tilted, so let me just untilt you guys here. And for the first time, you can actually have it illuminate. Sorry, let's do that again. Okay.